If you stay silent when disrespected, you're already ahead of 90% of people. Most react instantly. Power begins when your ego shuts up. If you save money when you feel rich, you're ahead of 90%. Most people flex. You prepare. If you walk away instead of arguing, you're ahead of 90%. Winning arguments is easy. Winning peace is rare. If you read while others scroll, you're ahead of 90%. Attention is currency. Most are broke. If you train when tired, you're ahead of 90%. Comfort is addictive. Discipline builds monsters. If you enjoy being alone, you're ahead of 90%. Silence builds clarity. Noise builds confusion. If you listen more than you speak, you're ahead of 90%. Loud is common. Observant is dangerous. If you delay gratification, you're ahead of 90%. Most eat now, you multiply later. If you don't seek validation, you're ahead of 90%. Approval is addictive. Freedom is silent. If you stay calm during losses, you're ahead of 90%. Panic sells. Patience wins. If you wake up early by choice, you're ahead of 90%. Morning is leverage. Most waste it. If you improve 1% daily, you're ahead of 90%. Small steps compound. Excuses shrink you. If you say no without guilt, you're ahead of 90%. Boundaries create respect. Desperation kills it. If you control emotions in public, you're ahead of 90%. Reactions expose weakness. Calm reveals strength. If you invest in skills, you're ahead of 90%. Trends fade. Skills compound forever. If you embrace boredom, you're ahead of 90%. Distraction is poison. Focus builds power. If you don't gossip, you're ahead of 90%. Small minds discuss people. Strong minds build ideas. If you lose and learn, you're ahead of 90%. Failure filters ego. Lessons stay forever. If you avoid bad debt, you're ahead of 90%. Easy money is expensive. Freedom costs discipline. If you stay consistent, you're ahead of 90%. Motivation fades. Habits win. If you stop explaining yourself, you're already ahead of 90%. Not everyone deserves your reasoning. Silence filters respect. If you don't chase people, you're already ahead of 90%. Desperation is loud. Scarcity creates value. If you save before you spend, you're already ahead of 90%. Impulse is expensive. Discipline pays you back. If you think long-term, you're already ahead of 90%. Most sprint in circles. You build bridges. If you can sit with discomfort, you're already ahead of 90%. Growth feels awkward. Comfort feels safe. If you delete toxic people, you're already ahead of 90%. Peace is priceless. Chaos is addictive. If you invest when you're scared, you're already ahead of 90%. Fear freezes crowds. Courage builds quietly. If you don't flex your wealth, you're already ahead of 90%. Loud money fades. Quiet money multiplies. If you master your mornings, you're already ahead of 90%. The day follows your lead. If you read before you sign, you're already ahead of 90%. Blind trust is expensive. If you ask better questions, you're already ahead of 90%. Answers follow clarity. If you stay humble while winning, you're already ahead of 90%. Ego ruins victories. If you forgive but remember the lesson, you're already ahead of 90%. Wisdom protects you. If you build assets, you're already ahead of 90%. Toys depreciate. Ownership compounds. If you control revenge, you're already ahead of 90%. Anger burns the holder first. If you stop comparing yourself, you're already ahead of 90%. Comparison steals peace. If you protect your time, you're already ahead of 90%. Time is life in disguise. If you learn from elders, you're already ahead of 90%. Experience is unpaid tuition. If you keep promises to yourself, you're already ahead of 90%. Self-trust builds confidence. If you stay disciplined when no one watches, you're already ahead of 90%. Character is built in the dark.